I found myself in confession the other day. My son was taking CCD classes, and when I went to pick him up, I realized there was a penitent mass with confession falling immediately after the service, with 12 visiting priests from other parishes. I saw it as a perfect opportunity to slip in and get some of the guilt off my chest. I rarely attend confession because it is usually at a strange time of the day, maybe 3 or 4 p.m. on a Saturday, and it's not like I'm overflowing with so many sins I need to unload them at any chance I get. All right, these are bad excuses. I need to go to confession more. Bottom line. I slipped into one of the long lines that were forming of parents and 15-year-old students in front of the confessional rooms. Facing the priest brought naked fear to the surface. My heart was beating a mile a minute. I could feel the heat under my arms and the sweat dripping down my lower back. My turn came and I entered the dark booth and saw the priest's shadow hunched behind the mesh window, a little prayer bench in front of it with a simple prayer printed on cardstock. I wasn't too sure of the routine. Yeah, I don't really do this too much. I'm sorry. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We both crossed ourselves. There was a pause, and I could sense his uneasiness at my uneasiness. Do you have anything to confess? Nothing that big. Another pause. I thought of all the carnal desires that burned in my skull, along with the little lies I might have spoken, or getting angry, or only thinking of myself, but they all seemed too small and petty to mention. I almost felt bad I didn't have anything really big and heavy to lay on him. But there was one thing. It was the biggest question of all, and I knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there was no way he could answer it. Sometimes I struggle with certain desires, and this is really something that we've been dealing with for millions of years, and even though I'm aware of this constant struggle, still I find myself doing things I shouldn't. Still I find myself being led into this darkness and ultimately reaching a point where I'm confounded by the utter pointlessness of it all. Like there is no meaning. Like once you have unraveled the deepest mystery at the bottom of all mysteries, it's just zero, nothing, emptiness. And I don't want to think this way and thus yearn for annihilation, which is pretty much the death of the body, but I can't help reaching this point because I feel so overwhelmed and disheartened and racked by such immense sorrow, the blackest, deepest sorrow. I don't want to continue. I want to be free. So what is the meaning? Why the hell am I here? I was about to scream, what the fuck am I doing here? Is there some point to this endless struggling to satisfy my needs and seek happiness? Or will that only really lead to greater sorrow? In the end, don't you know we're all mowed under like so many blades of grass? I mean, I long for God's love, but it feels so distant, so remote, so cold, so condescending, so maddeningly incomprehensible that my only recourse and natural goal as a human being on the planet Earth is to roll myself up into a ball and tremble. Is that the destiny of man? Is that our great epic goal? Tremble for eternity? Is that my destiny? Please, Father, tell me something. Give me some encouragement. Drop me a bone. I am utterly confounded and clueless. There was a long pause, and the priest sat up straight, and I could make out his features a little better as the dim lamp in the corner hit him. He was pondering, maybe even troubled. His head was down. He was stumped. This was not a local priest. He was foreign, from India or the Middle East. I thought I had really caught him off guard with this one. Today, after the endless train of masturbatory confessions, adulterous spouses, forged checks, throwing the old folks in the rest home, stealing the neighbor's newspaper, where this priest had been spiritually lulled into a knee-jerk, quick-fix, magic bullet prayer response, now he finally had something to think about. You couldn't just slide a prayer across the table and say, here's the answer. There was no way he was going to wriggle out of this one. There was no how to answer the question of the meaning of life in the catechism desk reference for priests. I almost felt smug and was about to stand up and leave without another word spoken. That would have satisfied me. The only true answer to all questions. Silence. I looked down at the prayer on the little card in front of me. I took it in hand and scanned the text. I waited, almost mockingly, ready for him to tell me how many times to chant the obligatory prayer. Maybe throw in a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers for good measure. I had this guy up against the ropes. There was no way back from Queer Street now. Just love, the priest finally muttered. Excuse me? Just love. That's it. Just love? Yes, just love. That's really the only thing Jesus wants from us, and that's his primary teaching. First and foremost, just love. I was floored. My God, yes. It was so simple, yet so perfect. Just love. There is really nothing that you must do or achieve. You just need to love more. The dark clouds of doubt burned instantly away, revealing only bright sunshine. It was as if I knew this all along, way in the back of my head somewhere, but couldn't remember it, like an old book in a library in some back dusty storeroom. All it needed was a hand to point it out and a quick dust off. Just love. Wasn't this what all the major religions were telling us from the beginning? Wasn't this at the heart of all dogmas, creeds, and divine law? Sometimes you have to dig a little bit to find it, but love is always there somewhere, no matter how cleverly hidden among the brambles.